I think Chris and Jonathan paid like 78 or almost. It was right at 80
Yeah.
grand for it, and it's got a little over 100,000 miles on it.
Yeah, I'm shopping right now for something because my truck is rapidly dying, and I mean probably the best deal I found on a 3/4 ton. I think it was a 90. It was either a 98 or a 99 in pretty good shape, but it was I want to say 26. Oh. Oh, I don't want to get wet today. Yikes. Oh. Shockingly, I have overdressed. Shockingly, I've overdressed. Burning up.
That's what I was worried about. I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed.
Yeah, 100%. Huh?
That first initial splash to the face is cold as shit.
Feels good right now. Yeah, if you ever use these, you'll... Have you ever tried them? You need to try them. They, it keeps your hands... It's shocking. I mean, it makes no sense to me how well they work. But they do. Mine ships, I think, next week.
Did you get one then?
Alibaba.
From the China?
Yeah, 175 bucks.
I think that compared to
1600 for a Gore-Tex. Yeah, he swam. I forget my train of thought.
What did you do last winter? Did you paddle or did you take the winter off? Paddle.
That's when I learned how. Over the winter. I didn't start until August.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had never paddled whitewater before last, I think probably mid-August. At least not in a kayak, anyway. That and the extent of most of my quote-unquote whitewater experience, I thought it was whitewater, but it was probably like class 2, 2+ maybe. You know, I really had no idea. Who? The reality is I can paddle a lot more than what I do, and I've proved it to myself more than once. I mean, I've paddled the Little, I've paddled the Pigeon, I've paddled the Ocoee. I mean, for me, I don't have the skill set to where that's enjoyable, you know, and I'm not your age. I'm I'm not out there trying to get adrenaline. I'm just out there trying to have fun.
I've yet to paddle Waikoi and our boat.
Yeah.
I've done multiple spud laps.
Yeah. But like most of the people I started with, even though they were my age, I mean, they were all, it seemed like they were in a race to see who could get to the gully the first. And I'm like, I'm not interested in that, you know, and leveling up every single week. So anyway, one thing that the old man that I paddled with last year told me, that he told me a bunch of stuff that's right, but probably the biggest thing, the more time you're pointed upstream, the more you learn. Whatever you're doing, the more time you're pointed upstream, yeah, we're not gonna. So I've got a couple of markers on this river that tell me where the water's at. The river's so big it's hard to tell. So if you got to have like little. Anyway, that spot right there.
Yeah.
Does that look odd to you? Why? Yeah. So whenever they say 2 generators on the Hiwassee, doesn't always mean the same thing. And from one day to the next, when they say 2, it might just mean 1 1/4, you know. I think we're at like 1 1/4 right now. So whenever they cut it off here in a little bit, it's gonna drop quick. So it may be a good thing we parked at the Needle. Have you ever been over here? Let's go look at something new, since you ain't never been over here. Only thing I don't like about these pokies, the wrist hole is so small, it's hard to poke your hands back in. That's why I like them.
All one size, or do they have multiple sizes?
The new ones are all one size, but the new ones are easy. The new ones, the back of it just kind of stays open in a little circle, and you just kind of stab your fist through. There we go. Watch out right there. I was just telling you to watch out. There's a little bit of a cross current that'll booger you up. It's pretty low. Yeah. You okay? Huh? Can you get across that? The old guy that I'm talking about is a guy named Spencer Lycan. His day job is he's actually a high school kayak coach. So if you would like, you're right up his alley. See this? I mean, all those boils right there. This little spot right here is a spicy little spot. I have rolled up here once, and I really don't know how I did it. I guess I just got lucky with how I was facing or whatever. I guess I just lucked out. It's kind of funny too, because that particular roll is what got me my first invitation to the Ocoee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the people I was with, they were like, "Oh, you're ready for the Ocoee. Let's go do it tomorrow." And so I did. And I had two pretty good combat rolls. One at flipper and another one at slice and dice. And ironically enough, I swam like right before the tubes. I mean, almost in flat water, you know?
Didn't have table saw, didn't mess you up?
I didn't, that particular day it was a Ocoee light. We put in it, the rails took out at the tubes. I've only done table saw in a boat once. That was my stomper whenever I still had it.
What is it? Is it a creek boat?
I hate it. I don't like it at all. But I don't like it for the same reason that I don't like Doug's boat. I mean, Doug's boat is identical to mine, except one thing, it doesn't have chines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the only difference between the Scorch and the 9R.
Yep, that's it. There might be a little bit of volume difference right here, maybe, but they're pretty close to the same shape, you know. Yeah, it's dropping. They've already cut it. Which yeah, I'm with you. I really don't want to be wet right now.
Was it you that was saying you was thinking about getting an Antics?
Well, I want a half slice, but I mean, reality is kind of nipping at my heels right now, if that makes any sense. Those currents do some wild things down there, man. It's a trip to come out here at super duper low water. This whole thing right here is Swiss cheese.
Really?
All of it. Lots of places for body entrapment. I think the only reason that it's not dangerous is just because the way the water flows. You'd have to almost be trying to get trapped, you know. You'd have to almost be diving down, trying to check stuff out, you know. But like that island right there is almost just floating damn near. Beneath it is just holes. If I try to get you to do something you're not comfortable with, just don't. Like if somebody ever says, "Hey, come over here," and you don't want to.
Yeah. Be like, no.
Can you catch that eddy?
No.
You can't?
I tried one time and it wish it didn't matter because I was in the sponge, but
Here, try them. Take your time. You can try what you want, but I will tell you what helped me with that flow in that spot and almost anything like it. It's just edging onto it. Remember I said face upstream?
Yeah.
Edge onto it facing upstream and just sit there and let it kick you around a little bit, get a feel for it, and then just kind of gradually pull yourself over. Keep facing up. Keep.
I do like those.
Wear them. Check them out. Feel like you see that all right, you see where the first little bit of white water is?
Yeah.
Right here on that shoulder.
Yeah.
There's a green tongue right here that you can kind of edge up into, and you see a little trough right there.
Yeah.
You can just sit there and let it bounce you around a little bit. Yeah, that's the kind of the cheaty way to do it, but you can just get on that shoulder and just kind of dance across, and it'll typewriter you over a little bit.
That's what I was telling Joe. This winter, I think, which Ace kayaking, they're gonna do full lessons. And Joe's like, we might go to some of them. He's like, but we'll probably just go to the lake or something once you get a dry set. And I told him once I get my roll down, I want to start working on a lot more skills, because next year I do want to do, I don't want to do upper next year, but I do want to do middle and a hard road.
Right.
And Joe's like, he's like, he said, you can do it.
Yeah.
He said, you'll be able to do it for the season. He's like, if you really want to push it, he's like,
Do it now.
yeah, he's like, get 2 or 3 people with you that are confident with you.
Yeah.
What they catch the boat, you swim, he's like, you do it, and then he's like, he'll teach you what not to do, and then once you get a bomb-proof roll down, he's like, we'll already know, okay, I don't need to be right here.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait for a bomb-proof roll to start doing stuff you're interested in. And I'll also say this: if I were you, I would be way more worried about being able to cross that and get in that little eddy right there than a roll. I don't know what your goals or what your interest is. Like for me, I'll share mine. Mine is, I like the Hiwassee and it's fun and everything else, but what I really like is creeks a lot.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, I'm way
I
more.
was looking forward to that Clear Creek.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
last week we were talking about it?
same time we were talking about the Carticay.
I was looking forward to it. I told Joe, I was like, he's like, I think it's like, he said, Chris said, all the bigger stuff is easily avoidable.
Yeah, I mean, if you go jet to Lily, I mean, the put in is jet, the takeout is Lily. You're going to be in good company. I mean, you're with a bunch of class 2 boaters. I mean, if you put in before that, you're in trouble. If you put in after that, you're in trouble. But Jet to Lily, you're probably fine. There's maybe a couple class 3 stuff in there. And I'm saying that, I've not paddled clear. But I've seen enough video of a guy that I know that if he can do it, you and me can do it. but
running Devil Shoals in low water though, and seeing how big it actually got, gave me, I guess, kind of like, I was like, oh, well, okay, yeah, I had a swim today, but I also did that, and I was kind of stressing it once Doug said it got big. I was like, oh shit. Well, I mean, still in a hard boat, you know, I'm just now comfortable with it in normal in a hard boat.
right. Biggest thing that I would say to work on, dude, more than your row, is being able to target shoot, basically. I mean, if you can't get to where you want to go,
Yeah.
don't go in a creek, because you don't have time. You know, you don't have time to adjust. And, I mean, this big river, I mean, if you start headed towards what you're trying to get to and it kicks you off course, you can correct, and you don't have time in a creek, you know.
It's just so narrow.
Yeah, I mean, so if you need to get to there and that flows in your way, then it don't matter. You need to get to there, you know. And the guy that I'm talking about, Spencer, he actually said some things that I was a little miffed about when he said them, but the reality is he knew what he was talking about. And if you can't point your bow at something and get to where you're wanting to go, there are certain things you just shouldn't do. But that little spot right there is a pretty good litmus test for, you know, because it's not a bad spot, and if you do swim right there, it's safe, you know. It's super deep right here. I mean, that's not the prettiest in the world, but I mean, you got to be able to get to where you're going, you know. And there's another dude I just genuinely hate, guy that designed that boat. What's his name? I'll think of it in a second. Anyway, he was doing a little clinic on the Manny one day that me and Joe went to, and the guy's a prick and everything else, but he did have a couple of pieces of advice that were worthy. One of them is pick your knee up. I mean, if you just put a little bit of pressure on your right knee coming up, that edge is up, and with that just little bit of that, just that right there, I mean, that's not much, you know. Keep it up, keep it up. Right there, I mean, that right there, that one little tiny thing will change everything. I mean, just that little bit. Yeah. And then if you can get to where you can pick that up and just start paddling like that, I mean, at the end of the day, the other thing that dude said about this thing, he said essentially in CAD, like in the design program, that's not a kayak, it's a snowboard or a wakeboard, right? It's designed the exact same way. You don't need this anymore. Old boats, you needed the paddle and you needed all them paddle skills, but what he was trying to suggest was that with just a little bit of edge control, and he loves to do this shit to show off, he'll go down the river like this and just be, you know, going from And he's right. You know, with edge control, there's not much you can't do. But Spence, I mean, we would come here. You're asking if I paddled the river. 99 times out of 100, I would meet Spencer right there. We would paddle, ferry across. Which, by the way, ferrying across the river right here, I can fuck with some class 5 boaters and booger them up.
On ferries.
Yeah, there's a couple tricky little spots right here, believe it or not, when the flow is just right. Actually, probably right about now. And there's actually a couple really good waves over here too that you would like, worth surfing. But we would come here and work for 2 hours, 3 hours in this spot, and it would, I would say maybe half the time was me sitting there looking just exactly like you, not moving a fucking muscle, and watching Spencer do different stuff. And eventually I would dip my little paddle in the water and I would start trying to, you know, and that's what we were doing. I mean, there's actually a good way to attain right here. I can show you. May not be able to do it quite yet, but soon. But we had just attained right there and gone around when I flipped and came back up, and then a couple of the guys that we were with, hey man, we're doing the sure. And it was funny too, because my first roll, like, everybody was right there. I came back up and a couple of them were like, oh, that's beautiful, you're good. And then I swam just a little while later in flat water.
You did a lesson with Lumen, didn't you, Chris Lumen?
I don't know if I'd call it a lesson. I called it that for him. Yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah. He's a lot of fun to paddle with. I don't know that I'd go pay any money for lessons just yet. I think I might let him get certified first. And then save you some money and get a lesson from him as opposed to Gridger. But man, your best kayak coach is probably going to end up being Joe for rolling. And then just for getting you in trouble, somebody like Spence or somebody like me or Doug. I mean, if you follow Spencer, you're going to get in trouble.
He's going to take crazy lines.
Well, he's doing stuff to try to challenge you on purpose, but inevitably you'll get in trouble. Because what'll happen is he'll get in trouble and he'll be in your fucking way. That's happened before. Yeah. I might be able to get up right now. Probably not, but I'll try. Too much. Too much. And just, if you want another option at some point, you know, right up here there's the first little drop.
Yeah.
And there's one right after that.
Yeah.
The second one is 3-foot drop. If you ferry all the way across the river right from right there, that's Big Bend. So it's kind of a pain in the ass to get in and out right there, but no more than Childers Creek. So if you wanted to like put in at Towey, if you're by yourself, you want to put in at Towey and make walking shuttle just by yourself, you can get an extra mile by doing that.
Is that what you did a couple, well, I guess it's probably been like 2 months ago?
I make walking shuttle all the time.
I asked Joe, I was like, now what is he talking about? Because I wasn't real familiar with the river yet. I knew to put in a towee and this, and then Devil Shoals.
From the Towee parking lot to where your white truck is right behind you
Yeah.
is 0.8 of a mile on the road. On the water, it's like 1.5 miles. But it's 0.8 of a mile. It's about a 15-minute walk.
I ain't bad at all.
So you can, what I do is I'll go up there and drop my boat,
Yeah.
like kind of up creek a little bit, and then I'll lock it to one of my grab handles, and then park, and then just put all my crap in my little mesh bag and be Tom Sawyer up the road, you know. But it's just as easy to go from Big Bend, just a little bit further. It's like 1.5 miles, I think. No, it's not.
Yeah, I like this boat, but I like it considering I haven't paddled a big boat. There's only 2 hard boats I've paddled. What's the Fun, and then Joe Supernova, which is dumb, but I went ahead and told Joe, I was like, I want it.
It's not dumb.
Well, it's a good boat to teach you discipline.
You've got that Kayak Georgia sticker on your boat right there. There's a fella, I forget his name, that's in that group. He started out in a full slice, and of course he learned to roll really fast.
Because he's spending all his time upside down.
Yeah, I mean, but today he's a better boater than any of us that started at the same time. It'll force you to learn.
That's what I was up until I started running Manahela quite a bit. Because we ran it a lot here lately. I couldn't stand being upside down. Like, that was my biggest focus, was being upside down in a boat. And then Joe would, we did a couple things, and he would flip me over. Like, I would attempt to roll, and he would grab my boat and pull it back over, and he's like, nope. He's like, stay upside down. And then, which it worked. It got me where I didn't care to be upside down. We did that, a lot of that down there in the creek, right toward that show.
Yep.
He's like, you're safe upside down.
Ish.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to be thinking pretty quick.
Not just hanging out.
Yeah, you need to be doing something. I mean, at least putting some thought into what's next. I mean, well,
Yeah, you got me sold on the pogies. I'm gonna have to go home and order some.
yeah. So your hand, I bet your hands are warm now,
Yeah.
and I bet before you put them on, they were cold.
Yeah.
I bet your fingers were cold.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can't get this wave for a few seconds before it disappears. 'Cause it's dropping quick. You know how to ride a motorcycle?
I mean, I rode a dirt bike, but not like on the road.
So when you're going across, has anybody ever told you to square your shoulders to where you want to go? So I want to go through that clearing right there. I've got a bunch of flow to cross, so I'm going to pick my edge up to my flow. Right, I'm exaggerating for you, but then I'm going to square my shoulders up to that. If you keep your shoulders square to that spot, you won't get off track. You automatically adjust. This spot right here is really tricky, believe it or not. So you see where the green goes,
Yeah.
where that eddy is?
Yeah.
The ripples that are just to the left of that,
Yeah.
the river right of that, that's actually pretty good flow. And what you kind of need to do is follow the green as far as you can,
Yeah.
and then cut across to that next eddy, which is right there. Too easy. Has anybody ever, you ever jet ferried? So same thing, pick your edge up and then get on that shoulder. You can ride that shoulder the whole way. This is a pretty good little wave, but maybe not right now. It's kind of that weird level. And that will spin you around right there. Have you rolled here? Check out where you're at and pay attention to it. You're in a pool right now. Most of the pool is about waist deep. Perfect depth for rolling and for somebody to stand there with you.
Yeah.
There's only two places really that you can roll and have somebody standing up with you. Here and at the creek. My opinion, this is a much better spot. You know, you've got the needle right there if you want to go paddle some current, and you've got a couple good waves you can surf right there. You've got a great place to combat roll right over there.
The needle.
Yeah, just down from it, or if you want to get really adventurous, just up from it.
Get up in it and then roll coming down to it.
It has consequences. If you miss your roll, you're going to get hurt. I mean, it's going to smart maybe. I mean, you'll probably bonk your head pretty good. Maybe. Yeah. I haven't done that yet. But this is a good spot for sure. Have you had enough yet?
Never.
Okay.
A good little playtime.
Yeah.
Any time on the water is better than no time.
Of course, now the sun's out. I just don't know if I want a wet head right now. I'm nice and warm. I don't know if I want to be cold. I really don't want to be cold right now.
That was my thing. That initial splash, I was like,
Well, the water's actually warm still-ish. It's definitely cooling off, but if I remember right, it was probably January before the water on the Hiwassee gets cold.
really?
Yeah.
Because of
The reservoir.
how they change it.
Well, I don't know this to be fact, but my theory is that the reservoir heats up all summer long, and so when they start releasing this time of year, they're releasing warm water.
It just sits there and gets hot during the summer.
Yeah. I think, but by the time you're paddling in, say, March,
Yeah.
April, this river is just as cold as the Nantahala.
Really.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't wait for rain, man, because
And that Halo's cold.
yeah, Nanny's cold. I want the Teleco again.
I want that. I regret not coming that day you, Joe, and Doug did it and they came here.
We didn't come here. We were going to. We talked about it, but we didn't do it. But we had so much fun on the Bridge Rapid that it was fine. Everybody was content. Everybody had their fill.
What is it? Class 3 Teleco?
The lower is probably 2.
2.
Yeah, 2 maybe. There's a couple spots that are 2+, and then the Bridge Rapid is 3+. But it's not because it's hard. It's just because there's a lot of consequences. You know, it's shallow. There's a lot of gradient. Yeah, so there's a lot of drops. I mean, if you do flip or whatever, you're gonna hit a rock. You're gonna get smacked. But it's a lot of fun, man.
How far is that from you?
As the crow flies, the Teleco's very close. Yeah. Drive time, it's almost the same as this, which is 40 minutes.
What do you do? Go up, make a pipe from 411?
Where I live I live almost at the intersection of 411 and 68. So I just hop on 68.
Run it up.
Yeah. Yep. I was still contemplating rolling, but I'm not going to. But this spot though,